All right, guys, welcome to episode number 1 of the Peak Performance Podcast. I got my main man, one of my best friends in the entire world, Richie Crahal, on as our guest. Richie, how you doing, my man?
Couldn't be better, man. Excited.
Excited, love it, dude. You are crushing it out there.
Trying, man. I hit a little rhythm, and so it's just been steamrolling. Trying to keep it going.
Helping a lot of families, working hard. I mean, that's number one, bro. You're working hard. And I think a lot of people think that this business, our company, this industry you just go to work and stuff just happens. Everything is intentional. And if you don't put the work in, this will never work.
No, I agree. And so I came into this. I came in kind of knowing I was talented, and I expected it to happen. But that's not how this business works. No matter how talented you are, you got to work hard, or you're going to fall flat. I learned that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So let's start here. How did you come to FFL?
Well, so a lot of people I knew started before me, and it was just a constant recruiting process. And I come from a position where I didn't necessarily need it. And so it took me a while to kind of buy into it. And so I started to see people that I knew really well succeed here. And I kind of learned about the industry, and it just made sense to give it a shot. And the rest is history. But it's just more so people recruiting me and then seeing them succeed. And I knew I could do it. And so I figured, why not?
Yeah. I remember when we had those first conversations, man. I was just barely starting and not really knowing how this was going to go for me, but I knew I could sell. I knew I could work hard. And, what was it like going back to those first few weeks, first few months? What was it like for you coming out of the gate?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mixture of failure successes because number one, I've never worked a job where lead buying was part of the process. So I was a little bit more skeptical of that. But eventually I just did it. And so I was just pounding internet leads, man. That's all I knew. That's all you told me to do. And so I was buying these internet leads off CRM. I thought that's what everybody did. And so I was just working these things. Wasn't spending a lot, but I was just really maximizing what I was getting. And I closed my first policy. It was an AIG policy. And I was like, man, this is easy. And then I just kept grinding, man. I just did what you told me to do. And here we are. But it was just a lot of learning in the beginning, a lot of failures, successes along the way. And I just rolled with it.
So you got started, bought some leads from the CRM, and just went to work, right?
Told me to do. So I figured that's what everybody did. So I just did it. I mean, I didn't know enough about this business to know any other way. There is no other way. And so I just plugged in and called you every day, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, man. I'm down with internet leads, and it worked out.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you think about this business, right? Why would someone join Family First Life? Dude, it's leads, right? You and I both came from a sales background, door-to-door sales, and the concept of buying leads was foreign to us. But I think what clicked for me was the ability to go, okay, I don't have to cold call. I can control getting in front of people, right? What about leads made a lot of sense to you?
Well, we come from a door-to-door background, right? So every day you had no idea who you're going to talk to. I mean, you're just basically showing up at the door like, hey, you want some lawn care? And they're like, why are you here? And so it was a grind. I mean, I don't mind grinding, but it was just, you were going to come into people who didn't necessarily care. And this business, yes, you buy leads, but on the flip side of it, everybody you talk to is at some point been interested. And so it really makes you more efficient. And so for me, buying leads is investing in myself. And so I never had a problem with it because I trusted myself enough. And so it made it not easier, because this job is not easy by any means, but coming from a door-to-door background, if I could purchase the opportunity to talk to somebody who cares, it made sense.
Yeah, man. I remember running my first leads. I was nervous. I came into this not in a good financial spot, you know, and I just remember putting that first lead order, and it was really emotional for me because I had tried to invest in some other businesses before, just even small bits, and they didn't work out. And so when I put my first lead order in of just a few $100, that was a lot of money for me. And I just remember getting it, making my first dials and booking my first appointment. Man, I was like a little child. I was super pumped. was a Sunday afternoon, but those first dials, man, it was a lot, because I just wasn't used to doing that.
Same here. Same exact way, but the more I did it, the more it just became second nature. Just buy leads. It's automated now. Buy leads, call them, buy leads, call them, buy leads, call them. It's unemotional now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is in business, what I've learned is you've got to figure out a way to take the emotion out of it. And just like it sounds like when you came in, you said, okay, hey, this is what everyone's doing. This is what someone who's doing it told me to do. I'm just going to go do it. And you kept it that simple, right? Like you're good. You've been good at every job that I've known you to do, but this was different, right? And so, how long was it? Remind me, how long was it before you actually helped your first family?
So I was fortunate. I think I got no show my first one, but the first one I sat with, I sold, and I was nervous because I had no idea what to sell them. Like I didn't know which carrier to go with, and so I walked in the home, and he was in a wheelchair, oxygen. I thought, man, if I could help this guy, I could help anybody. And so went and have a conversation with them. They wanted something, and so it honestly was I wouldn't say easy, but it was just not a whole lot to it. And so we just had a conversation, realized their need, found out, sold them an AIG policy, my first one I sat with. And so for me, it was kind of not every agent closes their first sit. And so I was fortunate in that fact. But once I closed that first one, I knew this thing was real.
Now, what was it like for that first no show? When you showed up and the client, you worked a lead, you bought the lead, you called it, and they didn't show up. What was that like?
For me, to be honest, I wasn't emotional about it because for a lot of agents, it could be kind of devastating. Like I spent money on this lead and this guy's not showing up. So what's going on here? For me, I come from a background where I'm used to people not answering my call, ignoring me, blowing me off. Fortunately, I was under you and you kind of set my mind right where this is going to happen. So going into it, I knew it happened. But it was still a little aggravating because you put time into calling them, booking them, and what happened, dude? You told me you'd be here, you're not here. But my next one I closed, so I kind of forgot about it pretty quickly.
Honestly, I was trying to go full time, and I booked about 9 appointments with mortgage protection leads. I didn't even know how to run. I didn't even know they were mortgage protection leads. I showed up and they all no showed or canceled me, 9 in a row. And I was supposed to put my 2 weeks in on Friday. And I show up to a final expense lead that I had door knocked on Wednesday. I showed up. They had 7 policies already from all FFO agents, carriers I didn't even know. And the only thing I could help them with was AIG. And both of them got a policy. And actually, the client, the husband, he passed away a month later. And so, a door knock with AIG and my first death claim all within a month. And that one family gave me the belief level to go full time. And obviously, here we are almost 2 years later, and it's been an incredible, wild ride, right? So obviously, you and I came into this business for completely different reasons. Obviously, we wanted to help people, right? You were in a place financially where you didn't necessarily need this. Your bills were paid. You were financially okay. I was not. I came in, I was in debt, credit card debt. I had a loan to pay off old credit card debt that was still being unpaid, car payment, like all this stuff that was really affecting me. What about this like really attracted you? Why did you see this as a good opportunity to supplement what you were already doing?
Well, the where I was at, it was kind of I maxed out. Like I was making good money, but there was no other levels. Like I was there. That's what I was going to get. I was working my butt off, and I was making good money, but there was no other next gear, right? And so for this, when I was getting, Caleb Amaros was sending me messages after message. I'm like, man, it's insane. And so for me, it was a combination of what I could do as far as getting to the next level in my life, what I wanted to accomplish, but also part of it was just growth. I mean, there's literally there's no roof here. Like there's not a point where you can stop growing here and stop, developing yourself. And so for me, it was let's just see how far I can go with this thing because here where I'm at now, I'm stuck. Like I'm good, but there's no other room to grow. With this company, it's like, man, there's nowhere you can keep going forever and ever and ever and never hit the roof. And so for me, that's what attracted me. Let's just see how far I can take this thing.
Yeah, and you and I both come from a very competitive background, sports. I mean, that's how we met, was on the basketball court. We were hooping everywhere, And so just I think what drew me to this was being able to compete, not with other people, but with myself. I didn't have a boss that was going to stop me. I didn't have a boss I didn't like anymore. You know, I had complete control over the trajectory of my career. I could buy more leads. I could knock more doors if I wanted to. I can make more dials, and I can talk to more people. I can control that. With my former careers, which I really enjoyed coming from the pest control industry, I liked them, but it didn't give me that same opportunity, right? And what was crazy was when I first got the call about this from Gabe Erickson. He said, "Hey man, I've got this gold mine, but I'll tell you about it in a week if it works out." So he left me hanging, right? And so when he called me back and explained to me how the comp structure worked, I was blown away. I couldn't even like grasp. So you're telling me that if I write a policy, they're gonna pay me over 100% of that sale. Like, I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you first tried to grasp that?
I thought there was a catch to it. I was waiting for the catch. Here's the thing: I was seeing screenshots of deposits from people that were recruiting me, though. So it was like, okay, I see these deposits, but what's the story behind it? And so a lot of it was too good to be true, and so that's why it took a little while to get started because I was just trying to find what the catch was to it, and kind of find out there's no catch. Just work hard, it happens. So my first thought was like, okay, what's the reality here? I know what you're telling me, but what's the truth here?
Yeah, no doubt, man. I remember when Gabe told me, how much he had made and how many families he had helped. My first thought literally was, that's stupid. That's stupid money. No one at 29, 30 just wakes up and they're able to do that in a week, what I was taking home in a month. There's no way. And so obviously I trusted him. So I thought, okay, well, dude, let me see it. Then he flew down. He took me on a ride along. I got to see him do it. And my wife just eventually, he kept calling me, "Hey man, I did this. I helped this many families. I made this much." And I thought, okay, this is great, man. But like, I didn't really have the belief level in myself. And my wife just finally said, "Why are you not doing this?" And I said, "I don't know. Good question." And I got licensed in a week. But the comp, I mean, obviously that allowed us to not really be good at this in the beginning and still like make our money back.
And the way you said it's beautiful is because the way we're structured our comp is you can fail at this and still make a living. And so it gives you a little bit of leadway. With most jobs, you go out and you don't do well at first, you're kind of struggling. But here, I mean, you help one family and just struggle, and you just help one in a week. I mean, you're still making decent money for your family, and so it definitely gives you room to fail. And I love that.
Yeah. Now, here's what I think maybe people that don't work with us don't realize is that this is a grind, big time. And I remember when I first started, I bought some Facebook leads. I worked those leads. I was still working my 9 to 5. And so and really it wasn't 9 to 5. It was another sales job. And so there was no set hours. It was you go to work when you have appointments and you come home when you're done or when your boss lets you. So I would come home those first 3 days. I booked maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments. And Monday I came home, changed, grabbed a shower at like 6 o'clock, and I turned right around. And for the next 4 hours, I went and ran appointments. And I didn't help anybody that day. And I remember sitting with a lady for 2 hours, and she ended up having some health conditions that, one of our carriers I was trying to ride her with wouldn't take. And when I showed her the price with AIG, she said, "No, that's way too expensive." I called Gabe afterwards, and he's like, "Well, dude, that's how it goes. You don't close everybody." And it was just so much mindset and perception that I needed in the beginning, because for me, I was so driven by, I got to get out of debt. I got to put money in my account. And I was not focusing on the clients. And finally, the next day on Tuesday, I met this lady. She said, "I don't want to spend more than, X amount of dollars a month." And I said, "Okay, like I can help you with that." And I saved, and I ended up like $9 under that. And so that was like, man, I did it. And as soon as you do it one time, you realize you can keep doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And it is a grind, and that's the perception people have. Is sometimes they come into this, it's like this. There's money here, but it's easy, and it's not, because you're going to go through you run 6 a day, you're going to get told no 3 or 4 times, and you're going to get no showed once or twice. But you have to consistently grind at this job. There's no such thing as easy money in this world, and same thing here. But if you grind and you're consistent with it, I mean, you can do things that you didn't think would be possible in your for your family.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember probably my first month, I was coming home and multiple days, after work, I was going back to the field and I would have to look at my daughter and my newborn son and say, hey, like I'm trying to change your life. I'm trying to change our life as a family. And it was tough, man. And there were Sunday afternoons between church. I would get out there and I would door knock and try to resolve some leads. And maybe the one day off I had that month, I would spend that in the field because I knew, a year, 2 years later, this was going to look wildly different. And I was right. But that first 90 days, man, it was a lot. It was a lot. And so the comp obviously helps a lot with that because, man, you help one family, you can potentially take home a week's salary if you put the work in. You help two, three, four families. We do that in a week. Some people are struggling to make that kind of financial change in their life in a whole month. And so it's easy, and I try not to take that for granted because I remember where I was at just not even quite 2 years ago, hoping that we could just change some things. Another thing, dude, that I think makes a lot of sense for people with this is the freedom. I told my pastor when I started this that like I'm going to quit my job and this has to allow me to give more and to be more involved in our church. Now, I ate my words for a little while on that because I was trying to figure this out. But on the back end, man, it's been way more than I could have imagined. What about for you, dude? What are some of the things this has allowed you to have the freedom to do?
Well, everything you said plus more. I mean, it gives me so with freedom. There's a downside of some people take freedom and they don't work. Right. I'm my own boss, and I can sit on the couch and eat chips all day, which you can't do that. But for me, what it allows me to do is, yeah, I'm involved in my church. I'm a youth pastor, so it allows me to do things I need to do there. Which most jobs with this kind of money on the line, most jobs you're working. I mean, you don't have a control. You go to work when they say go to work. I don't have that now. I don't have that pressure. Like I'm freedom, the fact that I have financial freedom, but also my schedule. But I don't let that not allow me to work. I still go to work, but it just allowed me. I have family time. I got 2 kids now. I'm able to be there for them. I don't miss any of their stuff. I won't miss any of their stuff, and I'm able to stay involved in things that matter to me, such as church. And so, to me, that the money's great, but that freedom is just incredibly important for me because not many people have that work full-time jobs. And so that's just been the game changer for me, and it's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I remember when I first started, I started full time, went to New Mexico. We visited some family, and that was kind of the timeline when I had to quit my job. So I went there, had a great month. I mean, made more money than I had ever made in a month. Came back, and I immediately started acting like I was self-employed. So what that means was like Saturday morning, I was at the beach. Dude, I don't even like the beach, but I was there because I could. And I remember getting phone calls, hey man, we're going to do this with leads. We're going to help you with this. And I got super, super weirded out with myself because I thought, dude, this is not what you signed up for. You haven't earned this yet. And so one of the big mistakes someone can make being self-employed is they act like it. And there's two employees you have right out of the gate, your money and your time. And if you don't manage both of those very, very, very well, you will fail at this. Because here's the thing, this industry can be so amazing, but it's super fast paced and super cutthroat. And if you don't have as a new agent, the proper expectations, and you don't actually go to work, this can actually crush you big time. And so freedom to serve at our church and to give back to our community. And dude, and here's the thing, and you said this perfectly, most people wish they had the freedom to be with their kids and their family. And they're working 40, and sometimes now, dude, they got to get second jobs to go out and do what we're doing in a week. and dude, we're so blessed with this opportunity because you're right. I don't miss anything. My kids aren't old enough to be in sports, but when they are, like, I'm there. I get to take my daughter to school. If there's emergencies, like, I don't have to call my boss and say, "Hey, can I have the day off?" Like, I get to do the things I want. We travel. I mean, that's what we dreamed of doing. And we get to just go where we want, when we want. There's a price to be paid, but like, I'm able to do that. And that's been an incredible journey with this company.
And most people would pay that price if they knew what the result was. And so, if you're willing to pay that price here and put the work in, you can have that. I mean, people go on travel trips and go on vacations and run a day or two in the field, and they pay for their vacation. There's just so many things that come with this job that if most people knew what was available here, they would do it in a heartbeat. And so that's why I wish everybody could do this and see what I have. So I go in homes all the time and helping families just with their insurance and going to their jobs. And some husbands are working, they're gone for a week at a time, they're gone for 2 weeks at a time, and they're missing their kids. And I never have to do that. And I'm in a position where financially I'm in a really good spot, and I don't lose those things that they're missing. And so I never want to get to a point where I take it for granted. I never want to do that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think one of the bigger things for me that has happened in the last 2 years is my mindset. Just that self development and the growth that I've had to go through. What happened, and I warn agents of this now, is that this business will expose you fast. In your first dial day, in your first couple weeks, it's going to show you what you're made of and what you're not made out of. Did you go through anything like that?
I did. I realized that I wasn't as much as I didn't work as hard as I thought, and so it hit me. It hit me really fast, and so it really kind of humbles you. And once you get humbled, then you can grow. Once you see yourself for who you really are and not who you think you are, then at that point you can grow. And so my first week, I'm like, okay, I thought I was really talented, but I am, but I don't. My work ethic is not what I think it is, and so 100% slapped me right in the face.
Yeah, man. I was talking to a new agent the other day, another good buddy of mine who just started and was just finishing up his first 2 or 3 weeks. He lives in New Mexico. His name's Leo. And super proud of him, man. I was bragging on him to him. And one thing he said was that, we kind of brought up that point was like, hey, dude, what did you learn in your first couple weeks? What did this expose to you? He's like, what I was afraid of was that I was going to find out that I was lazy. And I think a lot of people are, and then so that parlayed into another part of the conversation where he's like, man, I realized that I'm actually not. He's like, I was nervous about it because I didn't really know. I've never had an opportunity like this to actually figure that out. But he's like, I was determined to, even if I didn't have great success, look at this a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks in and look at my son and say, I didn't fail. And even if I didn't succeed the way I want, it's not because I didn't work. And I think, dude, you have to have a strong why. Here's the thing. I didn't come from money. My mom had a super, super great work ethic, but I didn't come from privilege. I had a great family, but it did not give me privilege at all. And so I think you have to have a strong why, and it can't be about money because you get used to having a certain level of financial flexibility and it just becomes normal. And for most people, they just start spending more money. So they're kind of in the same place. And when I was new, you would have never heard me say these things because I just thought, well, I just need to make an extra however much money and help enough families and I'll be set for life. Dude, more money comes more problems. You start growing a business and things like that. What is your why? Like what about this keeps you grinding the way you do?
When I first got into it, it was a very selfish why. It was exactly what you said. It was about me and how I can supplement my income, and it only carried me so far. And so for me, what I'm doing now, it's about number one, my family, about my kids, and making sure they never have to. Because I didn't come from money either, and I never want my kids to go through struggle through life. And so that, but also now that I'm hiring agents and building a team, that's become more of my why as well because I'm not, you never make it in this business. You never arrive, you never will. But I've gotten to a point where I know how to do this. And so now my why is how can I get other agents to help other agents now that I've seen the opportunity here, I want them to see it. And so you have to become very selfless in this job, because if you're selfish, everybody sees it. Everybody can tell when you have a selfish agent. And so I don't want to be that guy. And so that's kind of my why, is to make sure that my family, my kids are as best as I can in a good spot. But also I want to see other agents succeed. I want people to be 30, 40 families a month, 50 families, 60 families a month, building agencies. And so I want to help other agents get there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And just just what you said, just the ability to help so many people. Here's what I know about this business, okay? You will not succeed unless you help people. You can't if you don't help clients. And I think for you and I both, we had that commission breath when we first started. Let's see how much money I could put in my bank account. I did. I was desperate. That dictated everything. As much as a roller coaster I was mentally, so was my bank account. So I would go to work, make some money, have more money in my account than I needed, not go to work. And then when it got low, I would get stressed out and I would go back to work. But the moment I started making this about everything else but myself, dude, my whole world changed. Spiritually, mentally, heck, physically, the relationships I have with people, the way I see the world is not about me. It's about making sure that, my teammates are taken care of, guys like you and other people on our team, and then helping you get there to where you can have that same mindset. And now, dude, we're at this level where we're building a team. I lost you. Oh, we're at this level where now we're helping agents, dude. There's a lot of financial commitment to that, and a lot of time and mindset commitment. It's a lot of work.
It is 100%. I call you about this all the time because you're further along than I am in this. I call you, I'm like, bro, it's a lot, but it's so fulfilling, not because of any compensation, but just seeing people who put the time in, they help a family and they help three or four families, and just seeing what it does for them. It really is fulfilling, but it's not, man, it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some dedication, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, man. So looking at, we got 6 months left in 2022. What are some of your goals personally and from a team standpoint?
So personally, I'm trying to get to Hall of Fame. That's been my goal since I went to conventions the first time last year. I'm competitive. I'm seeing you up there with the red jacket. I'm like, he's not better than me. So why can I do this? And so that kind of is driving me. And it's not, the part of that is selfish, but the other thing is I want people to see that it can be done. And so that's a really big goal of mine. Don't know where I'm at on that, but I'm definitely grinding to do that. And then the team, I do want to hit logo, not for my own selfish reasons, but it'll allow me to do other things. And so I want to get to that point, keep building agents, developing agents. And I want to have three or four agents that are able to write, 20, 30 families a month on a consistent basis. And so personally, I do want to hit the Hall of Fame, but I do want to get to a point where I'm at logo and there's agents that are consistently helping families. And I'm not saying, I'm talking 20, 30 families a month, have a few of those. And I think that put me in a really good spot for what I'm trying to build here.
Yeah, man, I love it, dude. I think you can do it. It's going to be a lot of leveling up the next few months, trying to reach those new heights. I think for both of us, bro, it's been a lot of sacrifice, this last year and a half, but I think more sacrifice has come from our wives and our kids. Like I go out and, I'm out all day, and neither of our wives have a job. They work, they take care of our kids, and that's by choice on our parts, right? But I think just their level of patience as we're trying to figure this out, not always being able to verbalize why we're doing it and where we're at and how close we are to reaching our goals. But I just got to give a shout out to my wife and her belief in me and how much she's put up with so much of this grind.
Yeah, they're heroes. My wife's a hero because dealing with two kids every day, it drains you. And so for her to change her life completely with our kids and not be stuck necessarily, but have that, as a constant thing and allow me to do this. If she wasn't on board with it, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Well, I'm proud of you, bro. Love you, man. Proud to be in business with you. Super excited to see your team. You got some killers that are coming up, man. I got your back, bro. Super excited to see where we end the year, and let's crush it.